Good morning, everyone.
Hi, good evening or morning.
Good evening.
No, both can work, whether you're tuning in from Europe or from the United States or from wherever, really. So very happy to be here today. If you can go ahead and present yourself in the chat to state your name and where you're from. And so tonight we're gonna have Alessandro talk to us about his experience, his expertise, and just what he does today at Odoo. So we're going to wait for a couple of minutes to allow people to tune in, but we're very excited to be here tonight.
Excellent. Thank you very much to give me this opportunity to communicate my experience to the community. It's really cool.
Thanks. Hi, Tiffany. Hi, Alicia. Hi, Alexi. Hi, Leo. Hi, everyone. Hi. Elizabeth, Nicholas, Laurent, Thomas, a lot of people from France, US, Germany, Belgium. If I didn't forget anyone. London. So how it's gonna work tonight, we're gonna talk with Alessandro. So really there's gonna be just a 20-minute discussion with us both, but from the start, we really encourage you to ask all of your questions because the point is really for you guys to beneficiate from Alessandro's experience and really throw all the questions he's ready for it. So today, it's a CFO Connect webinar. So for those who don't know CFO Connect, it's a global community of finance leaders. We're more than 5,000 members. So if ever you're not part of the community, but are a finance leader, really feel free to join us. We're going to send you a link for you to learn more and to submit an application. And so CFO Connect was a community that was powered and created 3 years ago by Spendesk. And so for those who don't know Spendesk, it's a spend management platform for finance team. But tonight, it's going to be all about Alessandro, who's Group CFO at Odoo. And so what we can do is you can just start presenting yourself.
Okay, thank you very much. Alessandro Mazzocchetti is a better Alessandro because my family name is a little bit complex. So in the business, everyone call Alessandro or Alex. Two different background, some personal details, a legal background and a finance background, and also two different professional lives. The first life as a lawyer in an M&A environment of an American bank, and then a switch to a financial guy since 20 years, more or less. Been working for a while for big company like Johnson Control, American Express, Carmeuse is an industrial mining company in Belgium, which I learned the best-in-class rules to build and run successfully finance department. Then I ran my own business and I sold successfully in 2015. I met Fabien, the CEO, the founder of Odoo, early in 2016. Fell in love with the products, with the man, with the history, and with everything, and then joined the team. And so far, it's just the beginning, 6 years ago, and then we try to build something exceptional. At least we try. Yeah? We manage a little bit to be exceptional, but we're just at the beginning, as I said. But that's it.
Looks pretty good. And can you just tell us more then about Odoo?
Okay, Odoo is an integrated business management software. It's like an ERP. We are basically an ERP editor. We are selling over 30,000 different applications to simplify the business, the management of company, from website creator, from accounting creator. And the particular of the Odoo is that we have just one database, so all the software is integrated. And it's just like the iPhone. You have the one database, and then you add all the apps. They are integrated together. So a company, we can start with accounting and then add to the top of a website editor, and then an invoicing, and an MRP, if you do some production, and so on, so on, so. We developed 500 different applications inside, and we have around 25,000 applications developed by partnership and sold through a marketplace into Odoo, to the site Odoo.
That's a lot.
It's a lot, yeah. It's a lot. We have a business model, a freemium business model. So we have an open source. This is the base. We have 6.5 million around the world of this open source application, and then we have the additional features with the migration support, help desk support, the bug fixing. So, for instance, if you want to run an accounting program, you can try DeFi. You can use the open source application. But if you want a localization, and France localization, German localization, so additional features, you have to switch to a freemium model. So you have to pay for a subscription for an application.
Okay. And so, what are your KPIs, and like what are the particularities of this business and industry?
So we are in the SaaS business. SaaS is a very complex business. So we have typical KPIs like ARR per month, ARR per customer, gross churn, net dollar retention, CAC, a rule of 40. I don't know if you are familiar with this. It's a typical KPIs from US VC. So growth rate plus profit rate margin should exceed 40%. So these sort of KPIs we will manage, and we track on a monthly basis, on a quarterly basis, on a yearly basis.
Okay. If anyone in the audience has any question for Alex about SaaS KPIs or just the SaaS industry, I think it's your moment. We will also take other questions at the end, but really feel free to shoot them at any time. There's the question tab on your right.
Let me check.
There is one question just now. Maurizio is asking Rule 40. He's interested in knowing more about it.
Yeah, it's more and more followed by, especially by US VC guys. Rule of 40 is a rule based especially on your capacity to finance the company, and is saying that the growth rate plus the profit margin should exceed 40%. Assuming that you have a growth rate of 30% and the margin of minus 10%, but your rule of 40 is 20%, also you're not 40.
Okay.
It's something really followed by the VC. I would not say that they are based valorization, evaluation on this rule, but it's just a cherry on the cake, I would say.
Okay.
So if you have a good IRR, but in the market at the moment, the reference is not the gross churn, but it's the net dollar retention. I don't know if everyone is familiar with the net dollar retention, but in the next 5 or 6 years, will be really the reference to evaluate a SaaS company.
Okay. And we have someone that asked, do you use Odoo internally? Good question.
Indeed. Indeed. Everything is done through Odoo.
Okay.
We have so many processes. We have so many different reporting deadline. Just to give you an idea, I can share with you the closing process, a reporting process. So we have in working days, one, we close the invoice and we validate everything for the account receivable. We communicate working days one, the actual billing to the executive committee, or what I call a flash report. Working days plus 7, I have the MRR per region, actual budget versus last year, sent to the board of directors. Working day 10, I close the book. And working day 15, once per quarter, the board pack is sent to the investors. This all together for the 9 subsidiaries around the world.
Okay.
We have an hard close in October to prepare the annual audit. The 15 days of the month of January, the book are closed for the year. The beginning of March, we have audit. End of March, we have the accounts audited, consolidated into local GAAP IFRS, sent to the board, everything is finished.
Okay. Well, guys,
it's a very good machine. It's quite military, huh?
Yeah, I was going to
say. But if you want to be really fast and accurate, you have to be very rigorous.
Yep.
It's like, I say, it's just like a music band. If you want to play well with your fun, everyone has to play at the same time, the same instrument, the whole instrument. I'm just a bad master, but the fourth is the team.
It looks pretty structured. We have another question from Pavla who asks, how granular do you go with LTV CAC analysis? Do you track it per customer or only for segments? And how does it technically work?
Honestly, I'm not really interested into CAC LTV. I report LTV CAC, but the main KPI that I track is the RRR per customer.
Okay.
RRR, gross churn per region, gross churn per channel, direct and indirect, net dollar retention per customer, and per region, per channel. We have two channels, direct and indirect. ARR per customer on average. But I'm not spend too much time on LTV CAC because it's fine LTV CAC, but our investors are interested especially on this churn KPIs rather than CAC LTV. CAC LTV is quite easy to manage. Churn is complicated, very complicated, because there are so many different ways to calculate churn as well. So it's a little bit more complicated. That's why I spent a lot of more time on these indicators.
Okay, but do you still calculate it? Because
yeah, indeed, I report, I calculate, I track, I follow, but my time is put to improve the churn, the logo churn, the net dollar retention rather than the CAC.
And we have an interesting question from Tiffany who asks, why is LTV and CAC not important for you?
Because the value of the company is based on the churn. Because the SaaS business is a good business if you can keep your customer, if you can grow your database.
Okay.
So if you can a good CAC, but your churn is 35%, you are dead.
Okay.
CAC is fine. You have to manage CAC because you have marketing expense, you have magic number inside. But at the end of the day, SaaS business is your customer base. You have to do a new MRR. You have to grow your database. And if your product is good, the client to stay with you, increase the subscription. This is churn, logo churn, net dollar retention. This is the temperature of the quality of the products is the churn. It's not the CAC.
Okay. And how do you calculate your churn then?
Because I have Odoo. So everything is calculated automatically. Not really, it's not true. It's not automatically because it's complicated churn.
Okay.
But most of the job is done by Odoo automatically, and then I spend time not to calculate churn, but to analyze churn.
Okay.
I don't want to go into details on mathematical formulas for the churn, but the gross churn is calculated directly from Odoo.
Okay. Hope that answers your question, Pavla. And if ever you have more questions, shoot them. Tiffany still challenges you on that. And she asks, if that's the case, then how to determine budget for marketing?
It's a very good question, but I will impress you saying that we have no budget. In Odoo, we have no budget.
Okay.
We are completely crazy, but we have no budget. I mean, we are not crazy. We know what we are doing. We have no budget because we think that we have the strength of Odoo is to stay still a startup company with corporate figures. We don't want to put budget because a budget obliges people to spend money if they don't want to. So we prefer to saying if we have to spend something, we're going to spend it. Rather than see we spend 10 million, but maybe we can spend 8 million, but budget means the people have 2 additional million to spend. And you start this political game sometimes that I learn in the corporation. And that is a question of, okay, I have additional millions, so I can spend, blah, blah, blah. So I have no budget. That's why I don't calculate the budget. Budget is just open.
We will.
And it's working. For us, it's working.
Okay. We will talk, Amjad, about everything we said about the team and everything. I think we're just going to do a small focus on KPIs, and then we'll dive into building the finance department. So don't worry, we're getting there. When you say ARR per customer, that's a question from Jean-Jacques. Do you consider the ARPA?
Yes, I consider the ARPA as well, yeah. Indeed, yeah. But okay. I simply divide the MRR times 12, divide by the number of active customers. Okay,
and I guess that you also use Odoo to track your RR, QRR.
Absolutely, because the revenue recognition, we have different revenue recognition because report in the local GAAP, we have a subsidiary in US GAAP, and I report into IFRS.
Okay.
So the revenue recognition is quite complicated for us, but the MRR is still the MRR. So we track the MRR with Odoo, the revenue recognition we Odoo, and we mix all together.
Okay, and so Excel, no, you don't use it?
Yeah, yes, indeed, sometimes Excel, but the base is Odoo.
Okay, well, Alex.
And then I export from Odoo to do the calculation, because the tricky things with SaaS, especially for us, that we have annual subscription, multi-year subscription, which is fine, but we have a monthly subscription. And when you calculate churn, you cannot calculate churn correctly if you take into account a monthly subscription that open in January, finish in March, because the base is not the same. That's why it's complicated to calculate the churn with monthly subscription, and you need a tool behind, because you have to imagine that we have 25,000 running contracts around the world, and the contract is between 10 and 15 users. So we have 3,000, 300,000 to 400,000 clients. So if you don't have a good tools behind, you cannot do this by Excel, because when I export to Excel, I have something like 35,000 lines. So you cannot work on this.
Okay.
And then you spend your time to analyze and not to put some Excel together. This is, for me, this is the base of the job. I'm too expensive for the company to export some lines into Excel. I rather prefer that the software is doing for me, and then I spend time to analyze and to improve.
Okay. We have a question from Philip who says, I guess you also track month to recover CAC. Yes.
Yeah, but not completely.
Okay.
Yes, yes, the CAC is okay for me, but still the CAC is okay. But I really focus on churn, especially on churn. Churn is the product.
Okay.
If the churn is not good, the product is not good. If the product is not good, you have to focus the product. At the end of the day, people buy products. Okay. Follow the Apple rule, the Steve Jobs rule. The product has to be perfect. If the product is perfect at the end, you succeed. Look at Elon Musk with Tesla. It's the same. Product. Don't spend time to do stupid presentation. Spend time to improve your products.
We have a couple of questions about your Modo, that is no budget.
I know that is quite a particular situation.
We have a first question. How do you know you're on good track without budget? How do you know you're in line with your ambitious without budget?
Okay, it's not completely true that I have no budget. Okay, I have no marketing budget. I have a budget for recruitment. You have to bear in mind that the business, especially our business, say 85% of fixed cost because it's payroll. The rest is a little bit of SG&A and marketing. So payroll is budget. I know how many people are going to recruit. I have a company cost for each people that I'm going to recruit, so I can follow my recruitment plan. For SG&A, I have budget, but budget is my head. It means that the people at Odoo are very responsible. We don't tell people what they have to do. They know what to do alone. And ask people to act as bon père de famille in French. It means that if someone wants to spend something, the question I ask it, if it was your money, you will spend this money. Yeah. And 99% of the case, they don't. That's why budget doesn't make sense. What it makes sense is have an attitude. not a budget. But it's just an Excel sheet.
Okay.
Having attitude is more important. But for marketing, the CEO Fabien is managing the person in the marketing. So indeed, at the end of the month, I tell to Fabien, we are on track with the expenses, so we spent too much money. But generally speaking, we don't have a formal budget approach in terms of cost. But indeed, we have in terms of revenues. Revenues is what approves the budget.
Okay, very interesting. We are going to now talk about the crazy and solid team that you built.
I don't know if they're crazy, but it's a good team, a very good team.
Solid. So I think that the slide you prepared with a couple of numbers really shows how big and structured it is today. So maybe you can give us a bit more context. And I think then you'll have plenty of questions on that topic.
Sure. 2015, when I joined Odoo early in 2016, there was one DAF, CFO was mine, one accountant in Belgium, 2 admin staff, and there was 3 offices, and the accountant was managed locally by a CPA. There was 1 HR. There was nothing basically, but the turnover was 6 million, and we had 140 people, 50% developers. So the finance structures didn't justify really the work to be done at that time. Now in 2021, I have 27 FT in finance, so one CFO myself indeed. This 17 accounts, 4 controllers, 5 administrative staff, and the dream team of HR, 25 different people, to recruit 1,000 people per year. How we manage to do that? That's the question. The question is, the answer is quite simple, honestly. Because I apply a simple rule. I need very smart people, that's it. If people are smart, if the attitude is okay, the skill you can learn. This was the beginning. When I recruit the first, the second, the third accountant, was really, really smart people. And then, when I had these 3 or 4 people in place, I changed the rule, and I ask people to recruit their own colleagues. Because I think the smart people wants to work with smart people. So how is working today? If I have to recruit a controller, my 2 controllers, looking for a new controller, new colleagues, they do interviews, they do everything. They present me 2 candidates, and at the end I choose.
Okay.
But the 2 candidates are very smart, are very in line. The difference maybe 1% to 2%. But
Okay.
what is very important is the attitude. It's not the skill. Indeed, they are finance guy. Indeed, they know accountant. They know accounting, fiscal, etc., etc. But the attitude, I rather prefer someone that is not 100% very good in accounting, but is very good attitude, than the other way around. Because if you have a good attitude, you can learn a skill. You can learn. You can read book. You can do experience. You can use your brain to improve yourself.
And so today you were saying you have 17 accountants and 4 controllers. And so Bruno is asking if you could talk more about the split between accountants and controllers and how this split came.
Okay. I have 3 continents basically in my business. So one is the America, second one is the MEA, third one is Asia Pacific, and the fourth one, the 4th continent is Middle East, Dubai. So I have 1 controller for US, 1 controller for MEA, 1 controller for Dubai, 1 controller for Asia Pacific, and the rest are accountants working for those controllers. Okay. The controller for MEA is also the senior controller and the boss of the controller, I would say, because they report directly to me. And then I work with her on a daily basis to produce all this reporting consolidator center. Again, with Odoo, so it's easier.
I have a question from Cyril, who's asking, what are the interactions between finance and HR, and if you manage both? And how did it grow, and how did you manage this duality between HR and finance?
It's a completely different job. I learn finance on the spot. I learn HR on the spot. Because when I came on board in Odoo, I never do HR before. But again, I learned some books. I talk a lot with Fabien, which is very good in HR as well, because he's built up the company from scratch. I separate both departments because there are some interaction, like fleet management, like payroll, because payroll affect accounting. But generally speaking, it's a completely different approach. Finance is more quantitative, and HR is more quality. I manage my time saying 1 day per week is HR, 4 days per week is finance, because they're very smart people, they're completely autonomous, and they can work together.
Okay.
And it's working so far.
Thanks.
I answered the question, or you want more details?
I think you did. If ever you have more questions, you really feel free to ask them. And yes, thanks, Jordan. DAF equals CFO in French. I didn't translate that in the 2015 column. Bruno has a question. How do you do your treasury and tax functions?
Treasury, sorry, go ahead.
And I just said, who does it in your team? Is it internal or is it external?
Treasury is myself.
Okay.
Because remember, guys, a profit is an accounting opinion, cash is a reality. Cash is myself. First, because I like treasury. Second, because it's really crucial for the company. Fiscal is the same because I have a background of a lawyer. So I'm quite familiar with all this legal. I have a transfer pricing system that I put in place 3 years ago with the assistance of Big Five, Big Four now. And then I manage this personally. So I manage this finance, treasury, and the fiscal is myself, basically.
Okay. We have another question to have an idea of the volume that your team is processing. How many invoices does your team manage, maybe on a monthly basis?
We are talking about between 10,000 and 15,000 invoicing per month on account receivable.
Okay.
On account payable, I would say 3,000-4,000 per month. That's why it's very important to have a good system, like OCR, to put invoice in the system, like invoicing automatically the client, etc., because we have some check for the invoice receivable, but you can imagine that the 15,000 invoice per month is huge, it's a massive work. And I don't want an accountant to spend time on something that I can do with the machine again. I want that spend time to improve the process, to improve the workflow, to collect more money, to improve the cash collection, to control the cost, because if I don't have a budget, but a completely cost control attitude, because it's very important. And then I try to digitalize as much as possible the process. But again, Odoo is the digitalization. It is digitalization, though it's easier for me indeed. And then I can test something for my client as well.
Mm-hmm. We have a question from Yvonne who asks, how do you manage US sales and use taxes?
US what?
Sales.
Sales?
Yeah.
I'm not managing sales. I'm managing finance in the US.
I think
he's a commercial director, sales director.
Linked to the taxes, I guess.
Linked to the taxes. So taxes in the US is complicated. I have a CPA, but the transfer pricing that I put in place is okay, is waterproof. I have a ruling in Belgium. A ruling is a typical fiscal approach in Belgium. Means that I ask the administration to give me their green light about the mechanism, fiscal mechanism. I've got this ruling, so it's waterproof around the group. But it's okay. I'm quite comfortable with this.
Okay, it was sales and use taxes. Thanks, Yvonne, for my non-comprehension.
Yeah.
Tiffany,
says no. I have HR, I have finance. I cannot do sales as well. I'm not a sales guy. I have a wonderful commercial director for the group. So it's his job.
We have another question from Tiffany who asked that you have no FP&A in your team.
FP&A, yes, he's a controller. The
Okay.
controller is the FP&A officer. When I say controller is FP&A, I can say FP&A indeed, but it's controller for me is a part of the FP&A.
Okay. Have a question. You have 9 offices, but how many companies?
Legal entities. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 legal entities. 1 in the US, 1 in Mexico, 1 in Belgium, 1 in Luxembourg, 1 in India, 1 in Dubai, 1 in Hong Kong, 1 in China.
That's
8 different legal companies.
We have a question from Andrew. Given your reference to transfer pricing agreements, are you booking subscription revenue to each continent or each subsidiary?
Oh, it's very technical, but it's subsidiary.
Okay. Tiffany, another question. Does Odoo fully integrate with other third-party procurement such as Coupa? Often these systems require some manual input.
Oh, this is a technical question. I don't know. I have to check.
Okay.
I will let you know later. I will ask the sales. My colleague says it's more familiar with this technical question.
Slack message to Alessandro afterwards.
Yeah, yes, I will. No problem. I will.
We have another question from Pavla. What banking solutions do you use?
I have a Belgian bank solution called Isabel, which is basically a bank collectors, but everything is into Odoo because we have a plug into Odoo that allows to ping the bank all over the world, all the bank, every day. And we have the balance at the beginning of the day at 6 a.m. It's pinging once or 2 times per day.
Okay.
So the platform is inside Odoo. A part of Belgium with Isabel, which is a different system, but Belgium is complicated for this.
Okay.
So I have my cash situation on a real time, even now. I can check Odoo. I know exactly how much money I have in the company.
We had the question, how do you manage cash needs at different corners around the world?
I'm not managing cash at the moment. I mean, I have enough comfortable position to having a lot of cash. I'm not investing in any treasury fancy product because we are speeding up in the recruitment because we have to double the size of the company. So we want to put a lot of money in the recruitment, especially in R&D. Mm-hmm. So at the moment, I need my cash at bank because I have to spend a lot to recruit all the developers available in Belgium.
Okay.
I try not to pay interest because, as you know, there are some negative interests. Mm-hmm. So I use notes to avoid the negative rate. But the purpose today is not to have a return on my cash because I need the cash at the bank to be proactive in case of I have to speed up the recruitment process.
Okay. There's another topic that I wanted us to talk about, and Marie is asking this question. Do you have corporate development team within finance, and do you use M&A strategy?
No, we have no M&A strategy. We don't have an M&A strategy because when you buy a company, you don't buy a company, you buy a business model. If you want to do a good M&A strategy, you need to focus on the business model. And at the moment, you have no business model to acquire because the business model we have is simply our business model. So I'm not outside to acquire an app company because all the apps possible are inside Odoo. If I want to create a new app for the new needs, I will develop this inside. So I have no M&A. We don't need M&A to increase the size of the company and to grow into the market.
Okay.
I don't have a development department inside finance. It depends on what is doing this development department. But finance is quite agile, like other departments as well.
Can you talk to us about financing and fundraising at Odoo and your experience on that topic?
We did 2 fundraising and 1 secondary transaction. The first fundraising was 2010.
Okay.
3 million. The second one was in 2014 when we pivot the business model, 7 million. And in 2019, even if the press communicated there was a fundraising, was a secondary exit and an MBO, a management buyout. So we did both at the same time. 2 of our historical investors wants to sell their stake. So we give mandate to an M&A bankers to find a partner. We found Summit Partners that bought a stake. At the same time, our management, the team, 5 people, decided not to sell their shares, but to buy the share because it was time to buy, not to sell. So at the same time, we did the management buyout. It was quite complex, but we did it. So we did an operation of $100 million altogether. The secondary exit plus the MBO.
Impressive. And we have a question. What's Odoo's valuation?
No, I cannot ask you this question.
Sorry.
I know this typical question as a CFO, but I cannot answer this question. You know the parameters in the SaaS business. You know the RRR. Make the math. I cannot give you any formulas or any information about this because it's confidential, and my CFO cannot communicate on this.
We have a question from Louis.
It's big. It's very big.
We have a question from Louise who's asking, from your experience, when is the right time to start including VPs in the company, especially in finance? And should this be sourced or grown internally?
Internally, for sure, for a question of attitude and company culture. And then my question, it's not an answer, it's a question. What do you mean for VP? What is a VP? VP is a controller, is a man on the field, is something that collect data, analyze data, is a CFO. VP is a general terms.
I would think that he means senior
guys. Okay, senior guys. Okay, senior guys. I think when you have professional investors on board, you need the senior guys because professional investors just want one thing. They want to know how is going the business from a financial side. And normally they want to know this on a daily basis. It's not possible to communicate on a daily basis, but you have to communicate in an open book way. You have to be proactive. You have to set up a sort of open discussion with your investors. And to do this, especially if you have a big VC on board like Summit, for instance, you have some senior people, but senior people can be 35 years old. It's not a 50 or 55. Someone that has experience. And why I said internally is because at Odoo we put a lot of importance to company culture, and we think that someone from outside cannot fit with our culture. I'm the exception because I joined Odoo in 2015. What I tell to Fabien, I'm the exception. But the rule is that if we need to promote someone on a VP role, we try to promote someone inside. The reason is why, I say again, sorry. That's why we have some, take the directors in Hong Kong is a guy that he has a 28-year-old. In Dubai, there is a guy that is staying in the company since 10 years. Mm-hmm. In San Francisco, there is a guy that opened San Francisco when he was 39 or 29 or 30. We put a lot of attention on this internal role because the company culture is more important.
Okay, we have a question. We have a question from Amjad who asked, how was the revenue budgeting when you joined, and how has it changed since, and what do you do differently? Right.
There was no budget when I joined. There was budget because the company just pivoted and to survive, though the attention was mainly on the cash and not on the revenues. And the billing when I joined was something like 80 million, something like that. 8 million, 8, not 18. 8 million, 9 million, less than 10 million. There was not really a budget workflow. There was a small reporting, but very, 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 very small. There was nothing, basically. That's why I came on board to professionalize finance.
Okay. Hope that answers your question. We have another question from Tom. They keep coming in. I'm trying to keep pace of it, but really there are a lot of questions. So we have a question from Tom who says, context, you have an international setup, multi-company books, consolidation, a lot of complexity. So he has a question really about Odoo. Is Odoo covering your full use case, or do you face limitations yourself that you hope to solve soon? He says he appreciates transparency, not but
yes. I will be completely transparent and open. Yes and no. Means that because I had some needs, people from Odoo developed something for me. Means that when I came on board, the multi-company was already in place, but I helped the developers to improve the multi-company. The only model that is still ongoing and working is the consolidation model. Very complicated consolidation. And maybe from a scale to 0 to 10, we are at 7.5 in consolidation. But hopefully by the end of this year, the consolidation model should be fine. But for the rest, everything inside. And I really helped to improve the model for me first, because I was the first client. And then it's allowed Odoo to sell the model outside, because the first client was the CFO. So it's challenging the model at the beginning.
Okay.
So the answer is yes, except the consolidation. The consolidation is still not to 100% like I would like to have.
Okay, and so we had a question from Thomas Board. He asked it a while ago, but he asked, at what stage of maturity / complexity do you advise to plug Odoo? Which bricks are typically plugged first, and for which use case?
I don't think to understand the question. It means at what stage of the company you need to buy Odoo?
Yeah.
Odoo is for small and medium company from one user. You have to buy right now Odoo. Because of Odoo, you can grow rapidly and put your time and focus on your sales, your product, and not on your accounting and on your process and your workflow. That's the advantage of Odoo. Because Odoo can help you to grow in your business. You can start with one user, but I have some clients with 3,000 users. You don't have to start to adopt Odoo. You have to adopt Odoo now, start away.
Okay. And
this is my personal advice, and not because I'm working for Odoo. It's a really, really open mind, personal advice.
We have a product development question from Tiffany, who asked,
I'm not a product guy, so not too complicated, please.
Accepting Bitcoins or any other cryptocurrency as a payment method?
Is not a to-do list today. We prefer to improve the product before to start with fancy message like Tesla. Tesla is not Odoo.
Okay.
We are still a small company compared to Tesla. So there is no plan at the moment.
Cool. Is there anything that you want to add on the reporting or KPIs that you built?
Let me check. But I think pretty cover everything. I don't know if someone has some specific question. I don't want to go into details, but I think that the report is clear. I have a board pack that I send out on a Monty Blaze. This flash report, working days +1, +5, +15. Very important is hard close to prepare the group to the close in December. That's why we just spent 2 weeks to close the books in January. A lot of work with sales people to compare the actual results with the forecast, because we have a weekly forecast from a sales side to give visibility. So a lot of interaction between finance, sales, and the reporting as well, with the reporting to track the performance of sales guys and to improve this. I think I covered pretty everything without going to much details. Being boring with the reporting formulas and the board pack.
On that topic, we have a question from Marie who asks, and I think that's a very interesting question just in terms of finance leadership. That's a topic that we like at CF Connect. She asks, do you mind sharing about the power dynamics between finance, marketing, product, operations? Who is driving the seat of Odoo? Just to know if it's more like a finance-driven company or product-driven company, and how does the finance department also gain?
Yeah, it's a very good question indeed. Yep. Odoo is not, hopefully, is not a finance company, because I don't think it's good being a finance company. Odoo is a first and will be a product company, because we are selling a product. Finance is not driving the business from Odoo. Finance is just a support. I define myself as the architect of the value of the company. Every decision brings something positive or negative, so add value or destroyed value into the P&L. My role is to challenging the CEO and saying this decision bring value to the company, and that decision destroy value in the company. But it is a job to support. You don't have to run the company based on finance. I'm a business partner. I'm challenging the CEO, but at the end of the day, you sell products. So you have to focus and concentrate on your product. Your clients wants to buy a wonderful product.
And so is there anything that you're doing to make sure that your department kind of stands out, or are you doing any like finance trainings internally so that people are a bit more aware of how it works, especially as it's very much linked to your product?
In terms of products, everyone in Odoo follow a 2 weeks training program at the beginning. Everyone has 12 days of training mandatory during the year. Okay. Everyone knows very well the products, from finance, from marketing, from all the sides of the company. Personally, on the top of this, I train my team once per week on some finance topic, because I want to give the global picture to people like an accountant, a controller, that they know the same picture that I have. For instance, I started the training program this year. In January, how to read the cash flow. In February, how to set up a transfer pricing. In March, how to do a consolidation into IFRS. Because control is aware, but accountant is not aware. And it's very important that it's being in the loop. Mm-hmm. Because you can realize that his work is very important for the global picture. And I want people to evolve in terms of knowledge. So I give my time to the team, because at the end of the day, it's the team that is winning. It's not the CFO alone.
I like that. We have a question from Jean Thomas, who asked that he says he fully agrees that finance is a business support, but also has to fulfill all the statutory part. How do you manage to find the right balance by increasing business support, which delivers real added value to business?
By 90% of the time is adding value, because I have to challenge a CEO. CEO and CFO is like in a racing car, driving a co-driving. Driving is pushing hard, and the co-driving say straight away, pay attention, it's 35 degrees. If not, you're going to crash the car. This is the role of the CEO and CFO for me. The statutory accounts is something that you can do with a machine, because a B&B, balance sheet to deposit the Banque Nationale, for instance, in Belgium, 95% is filled with a machine, and then you have a double check. But I will not spend too much time on this because I'm too expensive to do that. I prefer to consecrate my time to challenge my CEO saying, pay attention, here is no good. So the balance is just straight away. I mean, spend as less time as possible, try to automatization with the program, with the software, with everything.
Okay.
Sorry for my English at the end. I'm a bit tired at the end of the day.
You're having a lot of questions there.
No, it's okay. I'm having fun, especially.
Cyril has a question who says, which team is leading revenue management in terms of pricing, and how do you organize revenue management? Is that clear?
What is exactly revenue management? What do you mean by revenue management?
Pricing primarily. If Cyril, you can maybe add a bit more context to help us, you can do that in the chat.
Pricing to do is fixed. We changed price 3 years ago, but now pricing is not changing anymore.
Okay.
The revenue management is managed by Odoo. We have MRR, NRR. Every sales book the MRR, NRR. I mean, no, Odoo calculate the MRR and the NRR based on the invoicing and the billing.
Okay.
But everything is automated.
Okay, no, he was talking more about actually setting your pricing for Odoo. Like, what's your involvement in that?
Pricing is set. We have no discussion about pricing anymore at the moment. So there is no topic at the moment for pricing.
Okay.
But if we have to change something, is the 4 managers that are running the company, means the CFO, CEO, CCO, commercial director, the CTO.
Okay. We have a couple of management questions because that seems to be a topic close to your heart. How do you ensure a cohesive finance team across different countries?
This is the big challenge because the tricky things when you have people around the world with different culture, especially, is to have everyone on the same page at the same time. This is my challenge. Before COVID, I tried to travel at least once per year in every subsidiary. I try to have a call now because COVID doesn't allow you to travel. I have to call the guys once per month. I try. But if there is a challenge for me that is still to improve, is to have the American guys, the guy sitting in Asia Pacific, the guy sitting in Dubai, having the same approach, the same full picture, and going the same way. Sometimes it's complicated, it's critical because of the communication, because we are going very fast, because of the culture, and this is part of my job because I'm the responsible for finance. So this is my job. It's one of my jobs. In this task, I spent a lot of time. This is very important for the company.
We have a question more about your learnings so far from Jean-Jacques, who says, would you do anything different from when you joined Odoo, and how important is anticipation in driving a finance department?
No, I think I will do the same. I try to do a good job, but I think there is nothing that I will change.
Okay.
And anticipate is very important, especially when you are in a business very competitive, that is growing very fast. And the challenge that we have at Odoo is that with 60% growing, today we are late. That's the challenge. Okay. So you have to go faster than the business, which is very complicated. You're still asking to yourself, is the process is in place? So you can improve the process, you can improve something, you can improve the workflow. Everyone is informed about the business. Everyone is well skilled. Everyone is okay with the position. Again. But
And so,
indeed is a big challenge. Indeed.
and so, what's your secret sauce to hire 1,000 people?
No, there is no secret sauce. It's just a matter of effort, a matter of passion, a lot of work. There is no free lunch. Everyone is aware about this. And then, we are not doing this for money. We are doing this because we want to change the world. This is the secret. We have something really, in our heart. And then the people that join Odoo has the same. We share the same project to change the way in which the business, the small business that can approach the business, to facilitate the business. That's the secret sauce, if we can say that there is a secret sauce. The rest is just a matter of work. Execution. And then sometimes we don't agree, sometimes we have a big discussion. Sometimes you have to put your ego in your pocket. It's very important. And that's it.
Okay, I think it's a good advice to end. If everyone has the last management or leadership question, shoot it, and I think it will be the last question the night, because we had plenty so far. If ever, Alessandro, you want to add anything as a last comment?
I think that if you do something with passion, everything it's easier. That's it. It's really put a lot of passion. If you cannot able to put passion on your work, it means that it's not for you. The project is not for you. The company is not for you. But if you can do this with passion, I work almost 7 days per week, but I'm not working. I'm having fun. That's the secret sauce. If you can do this, you can do whatever you want. You can dream. You can do whatever you want. That's it. This is my personal advice to young people.
I like it a lot. Well, everyone, thanks a lot. Thank you, Alessandro. It was very, very nice to talk to you. And thanks everyone for joining us tonight. If you want to hear more about finance leaders sharing their experience, you can check out our podcast, CFO. We have a lot of great finance leaders there.
Okay.
And if
someone wants to get more information about Odoo, about the products, about everything, just drop me an email and we're completely open to discuss.
For sure. I'll share Alessandro's contact information to reach out, and we'll also share the replay of this webinar if ever you want to listen in more, and we'll also share a written recap.
Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for your attention, guys, and have a nice evening.
Yes. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.